Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper. I'm Lori, and last week was a challenge for me and for all of you, I know. No matter if you're watching from the United States or any other part of the globe, you are probably affected by the challenging way of being during this scary time with COVID-19 or coronavirus. Now, that didn't directly impact my ability to make a video last week because I had time to be able to do that. But what I notice is happening to myself and to some of my clients and to friends and family is that this prevailing news and the fear that is being experienced by all of us, and the mindsets that are expressed in grocery stores with bared shelves and in cancellations and postponements of events really does take a toll on us mentally as well as physically in some cases. So I thought what I would do today is come to you with a couple of tips for how you can engage in both an intentional reading practice at this time. And we're going to start today with sort of part one of that, and then how to really make sure that you're taking good care of yourself during this time, because it's very important that you do so. The more you care for yourself and the way you're feeling and the thoughts that you're having, the fear that might be coming up for you, or the anger or the uncertainty that is causing anxiety, the more you're really aware of that and can stay present and focused and engaged in a regular practice of self-care that includes reading, the more you will be able to cope with this in a way that is more balanced and realistic for you and for your family. Now, if you need tips on how to work at home virtually, I am definitely your girl. So feel free to reach out to me because I've been doing that for years. That part isn't a transition for me, but it might be for a lot of you. Maybe I'll make a separate video about that here too, but I am in conversation with others on other channels about that as well. But today, let's talk about just taking care of yourself where you are and how you're feeling. And hopefully you're not sick at this point, but maybe you are in a bit more anxiety than normal. And some of these tips can really help to balance your hormones and your immune system so that you'll stay healthier and happier throughout the time that you might be practicing social distancing or maybe self-quarantined. First, let me say that any decision that you make, whether it is to socially distance yourself or to self-quarantine, is the right decision. And maybe it isn't always a personal decision for you. Maybe other people have said that you had to stay in place for the moment, shelter in place, if you will. But while you're there, here's some things you can do to make your life a little bit easier. So one of the things that I always start with myself and with clients is that you always have the power in every moment, no matter how you're feeling, to engage in the breath, in breathing. Breathing literally rewires your brain because it causes a response in your brain and in your body that allows you to feel more grounded and centered and present in your own space so that you can calm your heart rate, calm that fight or flight syndrome that is happening inside of us when we have messages that hit our brains. It just really does allow you to get present and to refocus. And our brains are going to be wired to be chaotic at this time because we're getting a source of news or information from texts, from television, from any number of social media sites. You can isolate, but you have to be really diligent about the way that you process that. And so when it comes unbidden to you, when it comes unexpectedly, or you didn't ask for it, but you got it, take a moment to breathe. And if you do this for 3 to 5 minutes, you will find a marked improvement in your sense of calm and well-being. So remember, you always have the power to stop and take those breaths. There is an app on an iPhone and maybe an Android too called My Calm Beat. It is an app that allows you to take breaths with the app counting so that you get the deepest possible, slowest possible breath that you can get. So if you're in a space where you're finding it hard to control your breathing, I encourage you to use that app, My Calm Breath, My Calm Beat. It is an amazing tool to be able to use when you're in a hurry and you just need to take that time for just a second to be able to spend it in breathing and relaxation. If you can take it a step further, I encourage meditation as another way of really helping your body, mind, and spirit to stay in a calm space. You may have to do it more than once a day, but once a day is a great practice to begin with. There are lots of apps for that too, including Insight Timer, I think it's called. But you can actually search your app store for meditation apps, and you would be surprised at how many there are. Or you can go to YouTube and find a lot of YouTube videos on meditation with guided meditation. They're at your fingertips at any time of the day or night whenever you need them. There is a physiological change that happens internally within us when we allow ourselves to meditate and to get quiet. And yes, it is challenging in these chaotic times. So if you use a guided meditation to begin, if you aren't able to sit and get calm without anything else to guide you, then use that guided meditation for as long as you need to. Use it forever. There's no judgment around it. Meditation isn't perfect, even when we don't use guided tools. So just let it be what it is. If something gets in the way, notice it, acknowledge it. It's there, it's in the way, and then try to just put it aside. You'll find that meditation daily can significantly change the way you feel and make you much more present. I also love music to create endorphins within me that change my way of feeling and being. It doesn't have to be any certain kind of music. And for me, I'm a very eclectic listener. So sometimes it is contemporary, sometimes it's classical, sometimes it's World War II music playlists, sometimes it's show tunes, and sometimes it is ambient kinds of spa playlists. You can use Alexa, you can use Apple Music, you can use iTunes and create a playlist, you can use Spotify, you can use Pandora. There are numbers of apps that you can find playlists that are calming or that are peaceful and that really help you to connect to your brain to another way of listening and being. And that can uplift your mood. It can create peace. It can create calm. It can create happiness. It can create introspection. It can assist with meditation if you choose a meditation playlist. It is an amazing tool to shift the way that you're feeling in the moment. I also like essential oils. I have been a fan of essential oils for many years now, and I actually just ordered a few more because I knew that I wanted to have them in my space. And I actually use a product called Young Living, which is a product that I have long really valued. It's very pure oil. It's very well made. It's very high quality. And if you would like to order from that company, I'm happy to do that for you. I won't make any commission off of it. I don't have that kind of a setup. I just order when people ask me to order oils for them. They have a blend called Peace and Calming, and that absolutely is one of my favorite blends and one that I was out of and ordered again the other day. But there are lots of other oils that can uplift you. Lemon citrus oils are very good for causing happiness. Lavender oils are very good for creating calm and a sense of sleepiness in some cases, so you're able to sleep more if you use or diffuse lavender oils. Some oils are safe to use directly on your skin if you don't have any other allergies, so you can put them on your wrists or on your heart or your neck or your earlobes, behind your earlobes, whatever works for you. But definitely consider oils if you are a person that believes in the value of them and and you like to diffuse them in your house, it's a great way. I'm diffusing actually a Scentsy blend today because my daughter-in-law sells Scentsy products, and they have a sandalwood, basil, and lemon oil blend that I also really like. And so I put that in my diffusers for today to kind of get me to a higher level of excitement maybe and happiness to face the day on a Monday morning. That seemed like a good thing for me to begin the day with. But just intuitively look at what oils work for you. And you don't have to buy them from a company like Young Living. You can get them from stores locally. So they're available pretty readily now. And I think that you should just, if that's something you're interested in, you should be able to find those oils pretty readily available. I also believe in the power of laughter, and there is research that shows that people who laugh often have pretty great immunity. Laughter is another way of elevating our hormonal balance and creating a sense of calm and well-being within our neurological systems. And so for me, laughter is important. During this time, I am binge watching a series that I have already watched before, and I'm rewatching it. And it isn't always funny, but it is pretty predictably funny. At least one episode has something that makes me laugh each time. But I'm also choosing to look at series that are laughter filled and are fun for me to watch, or movies that make me laugh. And there are tons of them. I can think of movies that make me feel good or make me laugh or make me happy easily off the top of my head. And maybe I'll do another video on book to movie adaptations that are funny and cause me to laugh riotously. But for the moment, engage in whatever works for you to create laughter. Maybe you sit and tell corny jokes to your family members. Maybe you watch a funny movie. Maybe you listen to a funny podcast or a comedian on TV or in some sort of recorded form. However you slice it, laughter is a very healing and positive way for you to take good care of yourself. Now, this one has to do with taking something away, and that is the social media and the news and some of the things that really can cause your anxiety to be peaked and cause you to feel afraid and scared and sad and fearful and all those things that do depress our immune systems. It's hard sometimes to balance that and straddle that space of being informed about things that are important and being saturated with doom and gloom and bad news and reports of other people having these experiences or those experiences. And those are the things that really cause us to panic and go out and make choices that maybe didn't need to be made. Take, for example, all the pictures you might have seen on Facebook of bare shelves in grocery stores. How does that make you feel when you see that? Shelves that have no toilet paper, no paper towels, no cleaning supplies. It makes you feel afraid. It makes your heart beat faster. It maybe makes a feeling happen in your throat. And then you get scared, and then you think you have to do something, and then you realize you can't do it because it's hopeless. And then how do you feel? So take a breath and recognize that what you have choice here in is whether or not you look at it, whether or not you turn the TV on, whether or not you participate in it, whether or not you breathe when it happens. What do you notice in your body, and where do you need to call attention to it? What is happening to you internally when you see those things, and what do you want to do about it? What's the opposite of that, and how do you get there? I am not a person who consumes a lot of news, certainly not through the television. And sometimes the only news I ever really see is through social media. And a lot of times that's not necessarily accurate of my present reality in my community. So for me, taking a break from it, only going on maybe once, twice a day, or maybe not at all, or limiting the sites that I go to or the groups that I go to when I go into those spaces online is really a way of taking extreme care of myself. It makes me feel so much more peaceful. And another tip is distract yourself in whatever way works for you. If it's a mindless game of Candy Crush on your phone, if it's a walk around your backyard with no one else in it, if it is a binge watching session on television, if it's reading a book, if it is watching a YouTube video, whatever it might be, distract yourself when you're feeling really upset and worried. Again, for about 3 to 5 minutes. Our brains really don't need a long time to rewire themselves out of that space of panic and discontent and fear. They just need a little distraction. And we have a lot of tools at our disposal to be able to distract ourselves. The only time I really see little games on my phone as beneficial is the time when I really need to get out of that space of anxiety or fear, or I just need to reset my brain in some way. I need it to do something different in order to reset it for the next thing that I want to do. So sometimes I might be reading a book that is particularly intense or dense, or I just need a moment. I'll stop and play a little game. I will finish that game, and then I'll go back to reading the book. Maybe a podcast, something that will distract my brain for not a terribly long period of time, but just enough to refresh me and reset whatever groove my brain was on in that moment. And if it is a groove of anxiety or discontent or fear or sadness, I can pretty much do that with a tiny short game of Emoji Blitz or Criminal Case or Harry Potter Wizards Unite. I recommend those highly because they really do make you forget about whatever else was bothering you when you started to play the game. Now let's get to the reading portion of this video today. You think, what in the world does this have to do with reading? Well, today I want to tell you about 3 books that I really love that can help you to engage in a greater practice of self-care. And these are books that I've had for a really long time. So the first one is actually called The Art of Extreme Self-Care by Cheryl Richardson. And Cheryl Richardson is a coach, and she's actually the person that's responsible for me starting on the journey to become a coach, because I listened to an audio of one of her speeches once called Finding Your Passion. And that led me to hire a coach, and that led me to become a coach. But this particular book is all about self-care. It's a tiny little book. It has beautiful photos and illustrations that will make you feel peaceful just by looking at them. But what it does is just help you to engage in some practices that will help you get to a higher level of extreme care. And now that you have some time on your hands, maybe because things have been canceled and maybe you're working remotely and you just don't have that commute anymore, this might be a perfect time for you to take that time for yourself and to engage in more self-care practices. So some of the chapters are called End the Legacy of Deprivation, The Power of Rhythm and Routine, which is probably disrupted a little bit for you right now, but it's easy for us to get into a new rhythm and routine if we just accept that right now, today, that's what we're being called to do. Soul-loving space, the absolute no list, wake up and tune-up time. These are just a couple of the chapters, but I really love this book. And I'll tell you what else I love about this time is that you can get almost any book you want almost instantly on a variety of sources, including mail order and including downloads of ebooks and including library books and including audiobooks on free or low-cost services. So you may be able to get this on a number of sites. Another author that I love, and I think she might be a coach too, though possibly not an ICF credentialed coach, but her name is Jennifer Loudon, and I got 2 of her books some time ago. The first one is called The Women's Retreat Book, or The Woman's Retreat Book, sorry. A guide to restoring, rediscovering, and reawakening your true self in a moment, an hour, or a weekend. Sounds perfect, right? She actually signed this copy, so that's special. But this really does help you to get quiet and create some retreat space. It's filled with different exercises, different topics that might help you. You can have little ceremonies to open and close your experience. Really creating some opportunities for yourself to retreat. Now, some of those may involve some suggestions that aren't possible for you right now if you're self-quarantined or socially distancing, but some of them really are applicable for you to be able to do in your home, in your room, in your yard, on your porch. And so I love this because it helps us do just that. What if we called this a retreat time rather than a quarantine? Doesn't that sound different when you think about it in that way? What if we're just retreating, getting still, getting quiet, and taking care of ourselves right now? Sounds better to me than all the other ways in which this is being described. The other one is The Woman's Comfort Book, a self-nurturing guide for restoring balance in your life. And if any of us need balance right now, I mean, I think all of us do. So here's a tip: reading like a child. Fun, right? So she has one of these for everyday courage rituals, which also includes a whole section on affirming self-care. There's a lot of tips in here about meditation. There's tons of resources for you to look at. Creating a personal sanctuary. These are definitely comfortable, comfort-producing, and self-care activities that you can do at home with very little around you and with the resources that you probably already have in some cases. But again, now we have access to so many things that we might want to get for ourselves by ordering them online or by ordering them to be delivered to our homes. So those are 3 of my favorite self-care books that really help you to get calm and centered and present and free of the trappings and the fear and the other voices that are maybe talking at you and telling you that you have to do or be or have something that you don't already have right now. What I know to be true is that if someone in my area needs something, I will find a way to get that to them without compromising anything around my own physical, emotional, or mental well-being. And I think that you are aware that you can do the same. Ask for help if you need it. Find a self-care accountability buddy if you need one. And really just engage in retreating and restoring and relaxing and reading. Have a very happy self-care filled reading day. Bye.